Scorn is a game that released, I believe, 2 days ago, or sometime earlier this week. I don't know, I don't have a concept of time. Yes, it is in fact a problem. There is, however, a pretty big group of people who are really upset that people are talking positively about this game because, it's an Xbox game and you cannot talk positively about Xbox games. That just simply is not acceptable behavior. This group obviously being the PlayStation fanboys. And they are very big mad, so big mad in fact, that they had to fucking go on Twitter, like they always do, and complain about how shit the game is, and how everything about the game sucks, and nobody should buy this game. So yeah, let's take a look at their tweets and laugh at their pathetic attempts to stop other people from having fun.
Xbox answer to God of War?
Now, before I address the tweet itself, you should know that a lot of these have like the Metacritic review scores or some random ass review from a website underneath it, like that's proof that the game is bad. Scorn has, or had when this guy made the screenshot, a 7 out of 10 basically on Metacritic. Now, a 7 out of 10 is not bad. I don't know why people think it's bad. I think it's because it's like Metacritic and everything below an 80 is seen as a bad score. But technically a 5 is mediocre and a 7 is still pretty good. But no, obviously this is not Xbox's answer to God of War. How are you even gonna compare the two? You're gonna compare a niche body horror like atmospheric puzzle game, which is basically what Scorn is. There is some shooting, but it's not like the main focus, versus a third-person cinematic hack and slash. They're not even remotely the same game. Like, I don't understand this comparison.
More people completed Stray on PlayStation than Scorn on Xbox/PC in a 2-day time span. Both games released in a service.
Yeah, first of all, they released on a service. They did not release in a service. And also, again, how are you gonna compare these two games? Obviously, the cute cat platformer game is gonna have a far wider appeal than the body horror survival puzzle game.
L game plus Game Pass trash quality.
This is another thing that a lot of PlayStation fanboys like to say, that Game Pass is ruining the industry, because games that will launch day one on a streaming service like Game Pass can't possibly be good for some reason. Their main argument behind this is, well, Game Pass can't make a profit or something, and therefore the games that release for it have to be very simple, small budgeted shitty games, which is not at all true. First of all, I have seen or heard zero evidence that developers are actually making changes to their games or having smaller budgets for their games because they're releasing day one on Game Pass. And second of all, Game Pass is sustainable. I know a lot of PlayStation fanboys pretend like it isn't, but Microsoft has shown us that they make a pretty big profit off of the service. So yeah, it is sustainable, and they don't need to change their exclusive games to, fit the Game Pass model.
Scorn is a day one Xbox Game Pass game, and that's really the only way to justify playing it. This mentality is why Xbox and Game Pass are ruining the gaming industry.
Yes, one of the biggest and one of my favorite PlayStation fanboys, if I'm gonna be honest, Saltiest Gaming, and he tries to further this narrative we just spoke about, that Xbox, Game Pass, day one games can't be good games, and that they're ruining the industry because, obviously Game Pass isn't sustainable. It can't possibly work, so the only way it could make some profit is if all of the games that release on day one are incredibly shit, and that's how it's ruining the gaming industry. It makes zero sense. Again, Microsoft has shown us that they make a pretty good profit off of Game Pass, and obviously the day one Game Pass games aren't all going to be cheap, shitty games. They're not all gonna be amazing games, I'm not gonna say that. Obviously, they're gonna have their faults, they're gonna be Game Pass games, they're gonna launch on day one that are gonna be bad, but that doesn't mean that by default all of them are gonna be shit because the service sucks. Because from what I can tell, most of the Xbox exclusives released this gen have been good. Except for Halo Infinite multiplayer, but we don't talk about that.
Xbox sucks, Game Pass sucks, Scorn sucks.
Yeah man, that's great. Very good, argument there. Scorn sucks because Game Pass sucks. Why does Game Pass sucks? Well, because Xbox sucks. Why does Xbox sucks? Who knows? Okay, because there's never a real reason to these things. Xbox just sucks because it's not PlayStation. This guy also included the same picture of the same article that Saltiest Gaming included, where Game Rant gives the game a 1 out of 5, which is funny because again, all of these PlayStation fanboys are just ignoring all the good reviews that are out there. But I'm sure that all the good reviews, like the PC Gamer review, or even like the fact that on Steam Scorn has mostly positive reviews, it's all fake, right? All of those people were either paid off or they're bots or something, because there's no way that people actually like an Xbox game. I also just quickly want to point out that they constantly bring up like Xbox games Metacritic review scores, or in this case like the Game Rant article, like constantly showing like, oh look, this one person doesn't like the game, therefore the game must be shit. But they never ever bring up the Metacritic scores for their own PlayStation exclusive. Like even if a game like Godfall, which was hyped up so much by both PlayStation and PlayStation fanboys, when that game released and it turned out to be kinda meh and it got like a 61 on Metacritic, you never heard PlayStation fanboys mention that shit ever again. But when it's an Xbox game, all the time, dude, they'll fucking talk about that shit constantly.
Scorn sucks hot ass, by the way. It's one thing to not be a shooter, but it's another to be so deeply obtuse with its puzzles that is off-putting for anyone under the age of 34 and didn't grow up with Myst or some shit like that.
Wow, my guy literally said it's one thing not to be a shooter. Like, how dare this game not be a shooter, right? Where do the developers get the audacity to not make a shooter game? And then he complains about the puzzles being too hard. So basically, Scorn sucks because it's not a shooter and it doesn't hold your hand constantly, guys. That is why the game sucks, that's why the game is bad. Like, PlayStation fanboys will literally just hate on any fucking game that isn't just like a corridor you walk down, shoot some enemies, and then every 5 seconds a cinematic plays or something. Like, these people just want to play Uncharted, and I'm not saying that's bad. I like games like Uncharted sometimes too. But don't go hating on other games because they're not shooters and they don't hold your hand. Anyway boys, this is the end of the video. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye. Also, I'm gonna make another video on Scorn, talking more about why it's got such a mixed reaction. It should probably come out sometime this week. But yeah, goodbye.